When the news broke that Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis would be sharing the ring this November, the boxing world didn't just react, it exploded. Social media timelines flooded instantly, debates raged on Twitter, and fans across the globe started to ask the big question, what does this fight mean, and more importantly, who really benefits from it? On the surface, it's one of the strangest matchups you could imagine. A YouTuber turned boxer with a knack for stirring headlines going toe-to-toe with one of the most explosive and accomplished fighters of this generation. But in boxing, especially in 2025, it's not just about what happens inside the ropes, it's about the business, the optics, and the momentum. Let's start with Jake Paul. Love him or hate him, the man has forced himself into the boxing conversation. From the very beginning, he marketed himself not as a finished product but as a disruptor, someone who could shake up a sport that many felt had grown stale in the mainstream. Over the years, he's fought MMA stars, influencers, and even legitimate boxers, building a reputation that's half entertainer, half fighter. By stepping in with Gervonta Davis, Jake is attempting the boldest move of his career. He's taking on a pound-for-pound talent, a world champion, someone whose boxing credentials are unquestioned. For Jake, the benefit is clear: if he somehow wins, it changes everything. He goes from a celebrity experiment to someone who beat a generational fighter. Even in defeat, though, Jake benefits. Just sharing the ring with Tank elevates his credibility. People will tune in, people will pay, and Jake walks away richer, more relevant, and still part of boxing's headlines. For him, this fight is almost a win-win situation. Now, what about Gervonta Davis? Tank is already an established star. He sells out arenas, his knockouts trend globally, and his name is recognized beyond hardcore boxing circles. But there's a ceiling that many boxing purists know about: Tank has yet to break fully into mainstream superstardom. That's where Jake Paul comes in. A fight against Jake doesn't exactly add to Tank's legacy inside the sport, hardcore fans may even roll their eyes. But it does put him in front of millions who might not otherwise tune into boxing. Jake Paul's fanbase isn't traditional boxing fans, they are casuals, influencers, YouTube watchers, young audiences who follow trends. If Tank runs through Jake, as many expect him to, he doesn't just score another knockout, he grabs a whole new audience. The benefit for Gervonta is mainstream crossover, a chance to step out of the boxing bubble and become a household name. Of course, we can't ignore the promoters and networks. Events like this are money machines. Pay-per-view buys are likely to be massive, driven not just by boxing fans but by Jake Paul's followers, Tank's supporters, and the general public curious to see the spectacle. Prime Video, Showtime, PBC, whoever is involved in distributing the fight stands to make millions. The fight sells itself, and in a year where boxing has been competing with the UFC, influencer events, and other sports for attention, this is a guaranteed spotlight. The business side benefits almost more than the fighters themselves, because controversy and curiosity drive sales. Then there's the fans. Do they benefit? That's a trickier one. Hardcore boxing fans may feel frustrated, seeing a fighter like Gervonta Davis take on someone with Jake Paul's resume instead of another top contender in his weight class. They'll argue it does nothing for the sport's integrity. But for casual fans, this is entertainment at its finest. It's the collision of two worlds, celebrity culture and elite boxing. It gets people talking about the sport who normally wouldn't, and sometimes that's enough to keep boxing in the spotlight. Whether you think it's a circus or a genius move, fans get a show, and in today's combat sports landscape, spectacle often trumps purism. There's also the psychological angle. For Jake Paul, stepping in with Tank Davis is about proving he belongs, silencing critics, and etching his name into history as more than just an entertainer. For Gervonta Davis, the fight carries the risk of embarrassment. Imagine if he doesn't knock Jake out, or worse, if Jake lands something shocking. His reputation could take a massive hit. So while Jake has less to lose and more to gain, Tank's benefit is tied to dominance. He has to deliver what everyone expects, a violent, decisive win. Anything less, and people will say he gave credibility to an outsider. At the end of the day, who benefits most depends on perspective. Jake Paul gains legitimacy no matter the outcome, Gervonta Davis gains mainstream exposure if he wins as expected, promoters gain millions, and fans gain a spectacle that will dominate sports headlines. The only real loser is the idea of boxing purity, but maybe that's already been gone for some time. In November, the ring will decide the punches, but outside the ropes, the benefits are already clear. This fight is a business masterstroke, a cultural event, and a reminder that in boxing, money and hype often matter as much as belts and rankings.